to recent our charge basis.
The camera is right here.
They both said that they were, but we have five, so we'll still start because it's 11 o'clock. Because you always don't miss anything, usually these early. Okay, we are live streaming.
Okay. So it is 11 o'clock on the dot. Let's call the meeting to order. Ooh. I don't have the land acknowledgement. Would you like to? Would you like me to grab it? Eileen can read it.
Let's get started. Your additional treasury. People is that these additional. And I'm sorry about the confusion, I'm sure that's not quite right. Some digits come from Treaty 5 and Treaty 9 of the Mission of the Nation. And also sometimes superior. Also, the one in around Thunder Bay, Robinson Superior.
Awesome. Okay. So number 3 on our agenda item. So introduction to amendments to the agenda. Do we have any? Again. I did follow up on the branding stuff, so I don't know if that's an agenda item or from that's. Okay. Okay. Motion to accept the agenda for the July 24th, 2024 meeting. Joe, Naomi. Okay. Declarations of pecuniary interest. I don't think we have any. Gallon. So, moving forward. So hopefully everyone had time to go over the meeting minutes. So before we do an adoption, were there any changes that needed to be made, or?
I think that we agree that we were going to prime the box. And that we also agreed that we would be designing the TRCs and the signs, which. I think that I still do that we were not gonna do anything with the rocks. I think that's just that was in my wording. Okay. And what was the other thing? That it says the committee is hoping someone on the committee, but we said we do that to design the TRC standards. Okay. Because there was a little bit of email about that. I thought it was going to be we're just like it's designed a template. Okay, to be fair, it's not people, and it's going to design it for like that. Okay, just so we can save that cost, right? Like we pay someone else to do it. Okay.
What item are you on? Sorry, I didn't follow the conversation.
On page 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.6 depth. So now it says the committee is hoping someone on the committee will design the TRC standees. It's recent. Okay, yes. Also for
right under the Blueberry Festival. We're looking at the 3rd paragraph, 2nd point.
Yep.
Naomi suggested this is a good opportunity to offer teaching about saying a prayer and putting down tobacco.
yes.
Can we also put Darlene, because just put Naomi and Darlene because I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk about the teaching. And then she had offered that that would be a good way to have the elders also include in putting down the
That was
back.
the next point. Darling, the next one, the next page, the very first point.
See that here.
Darlene suggested maybe talk to the elders about the rocks, the blessing.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
No, because I know I did not say putting down tobacco.
Darlene.
Thank you. That's why I was like,
I don't know.
you do amazing.
Anything else that require changes?
So,
You just showed up. You got volunteered.
yeah.
That's all.
Okay, so motion to adopt the meeting minutes from the June 24th meeting. Eileen. And Joe. Okay, so moving on to number 6, business arising from the minutes. So I guess that's where I would come in now.
We add it.
Oh, you add it? Okay,
Yeah, we can add it to number, like as number 6.
okay. Okay, so quickly, I'm just gonna, I had in the meeting that I would look at the branding policy for the municipality. I also looked at Thunder Bay, Dryden, and Canora's. Honestly, out of all of them, I actually think Sioux Lookout probably did the best job in incorporating our area and the culture. And all the reading and some of the people that I talked to, honestly, I think the whole adding the name in the language after going through all of this, I don't think that would be something that I would want to support as something we send to council as a recommendation. So I don't know if any of you had a chance to look at the municipality's branding policy. They actually did a really good job. It's on the website, just like Megan said at the last meeting. There are different options with syllabics on there. The OJ Creek, you guys can go on the website. So I already think that the municipality did their job. They did really well. And in comparison to the other policies that I looked at, not saying the other ones aren't bad, but you know, I'm partial to Sioux Lookout, so that's kind of just my impression of if we decide to move forward as a group, I probably wouldn't support the translation of the name.
So this also has to do with the discussion we were having about possibly putting it up on the tower, right? So I remember I had abstained from making a decision because of the fact that Sioux Lookout is known as a municipality of Sioux Lookout. A lot of the First Nations may use the Indigenous name because that's what they do. The Sioux Lookout, I'm not of the mind to change it to an Indigenous name because it's Sioux Lookout. Like we serve a multicultural like municipality, so I still actually I change it from abstain to no. I don't think we need to go forward with putting a Sioux Lookout name on our branding. Like you said, we already have syllabics and all that, so
And as a committee, I think we need to really be careful because what are our intentions behind stuff like this? Are we doing it because we want to check something off the box or something we did at the end of the year? Or are we doing it because we really like, you know, in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, like that's kind of where I'm teetering on. I'm not sure. I just don't want it to be a check on the box because a lot of places they're doing stuff in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, but really is it? And we have an awesome work plan, lots of good projects. So, anyways, I'll open the floor if anyone else can give their share their opinions.
My opinion is sort of to respect your opinion. So, like you're the indigenous voices here. So if that's how you feel, I have respect for that.
I don't agree sometimes.
Yeah.
I had a question about the syllabics on the. What is the syllabics in the logo that is in the?
Butcher Creek.
And it must
Like
be
what-
Sioux
what is-
Oh,
Lookout.
what is it?
Sioux Lookout?
That's
Yeah, this is the,
So the intent is depending on which version is being used, one is just Sioux Lookout and then one is Sioux Lookout Hub in the north. Depending on which iteration of the logo, so it's just a matter of. Yeah, yes.
So one actually, that's a. Super. Well, it's a lot of experience.
There's two. There's Sioux Lookout and then Sioux Lookout Hub of the North. Yeah.
You considering dropping Hub in the north?
No, no.
Okay.
This was from the discussion about putting the translation of the name. Yeah. But nothing, yeah. Any thoughts, Mario?
Yeah, I would like to see this put in there. It gives that flavor that of us being in an indigenous area. I think it adds to the culture of Sioux Lookout. Personally.
Well, the syllabics is already part of Sioux Lookout's branding.
We don't have to worry about
Yeah.
the word
That's all
of,
done, right? But
True.
in my opinion, I don't think adding the actual like translation of Sioux Lookout.
No, I agree.
Right, yeah.
I agree, but I like to have the.
syllabics, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, when we do the water tower, do you think it would put the slides?
I think that it will ultimately, we may not put anything obviously cost prohibitive, it's just a great building.
Well, there you go.
You know. So, or it may be,
Yeah.
let's get the tower and then in a few years. I don't know, But
Going for it.
but
We're
I
not
think
waiting for
ultimately the,
All I did was just do a little research.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and see, this is
Whatever's the
already
most
part of Sioux Lookout brand
Right,
policy.
the council at the time,
Things that
like,
they have already approved, right?
to include
We had
both.
discussion about the water.
Right.
Yeah.
Of putting the actual
Version of the
name
logo that has
to
both
it.
the English and then
Okay.
the syllabics.
Whereas- And he's basically just a couple of months.
Oh, okay.
so I think that's, this is the same. It's not super.
What was that?
This syllabus right here, the, well, that's been in a while.
Is
It's
it?
not super.
Wanna,
Oh, the other name, okay.
But I don't know, I'm not, there's a bunch of thoughts under it.
Right.
That was syllabus keyboards, I can.
Oh, perfect.
We don't know who was consulted at the time, right? Because we have lots of people in our area that have been consulted on the
Yeah,
syllabics,
It
right?
was expensive consultation at the time. I know
Yeah.
that the evolution of the logo, I think, was something like an 18-month process where many stakeholders were consulted and so on. And there were lots of iterations and so on.
But I thought that, like, I can't say the name, I apologize, I just can't, my tongue just can't wrap around it. I thought that the last TRC committee, in particular, Chief Bull was saying that what that word meant was sandy beach.
Yeah.
Right, and what was stated was that it wouldn't be really accepted because of Sandy Lake, that's what Sandy Lake is. You remember that?
The translations in the landed off of Bay of Sandy Beaches.
Okay, no, that's.
I would say like the translation is very, it's not exact, right? Like some people said it's a place of sandy shores, you know. And when Sandy Lake in itself is, the lake itself is sandy, but and very muddy. I mean, so that looks very muddy too, right? So it's almost, it's.
I'm just coming to the comments that I recall in the last meeting.
All right.
Given that. A few people are not able to look at syllabics and say them. What would people think about putting the the sounded version of the syllabics as well, so we can actually save them.
Put it up there phonetically.
So where would we get the budget for that though?
Everything comes back to budget.
And really, Sioux Lookout did do a great job in there. Like when I went through this, they really did a good job. Like really hats off to the group that was a part of this. This project. So like, you know, I just think as a committee, we have lots of really good projects on our work plan that we can focus on and, you know, there might be other things that come up that we could, you know, make recommendations to the municipality, but this one right now, just the state of everything, I think it's, yeah, our focus is better, you know, elsewhere. But anyways, I'm just one voice. So are we good to move on? Is there any more discussion about the? Excuse me. Yeah, okay.
The only thing I'll just add, sorry, just that. I mean, as an indigenous person, like, I don't read syllabics, like, I have my app to put it in and see what the Roman orthography version of it is. And now, even now, I don't know what it says sometimes. But it's the fact that you're seeing that syllabics that you're represented. Just the visual of it sometimes is meaningful in itself.
I think there's other ways we can do that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it has to be up there, but I'm just saying just
Definitely.
where it can be used. When there's opportunity to use it, I think.
Well, I mean, this definitely spurred discussions for the next chamber meeting, because I think like this is something we could probably do like at the Travel Information Center, where we have a lot of people come in, but you know, like there's lots of opportunities out there for.
So there's at least a bigger discussion, or maybe and thinking about this and some discussions over the summer. Like maybe as a committee, adding to the work plan as a best practices guide for businesses and organizations to do. Like we're not telling people what to do, but here's some guidelines that you could do as a business organization for your signage and things like that, right? You know, you slap it, that is appropriate, things like that, right? Just you know, if you have an event, you know, here maybe you want to invite an elder, things like that, right? Because like, I see a lot of lacking in the community. So just something maybe as a committee, you know, we're not telling people to do, but here's the best practices that
We should
community can
have
use.
that in our work plan under the education campaign.
Exactly, yeah, that would be a great place.
Once we finish the pop-up banners, that could be our next one.
Exactly.
That's a really good idea, Brent.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And like you said, for a just like.
A little bit extra there to do, but.
Definitely.
And it's informing,
Yeah,
because that's the biggest thing. Like, we all know that training and education, like we have been sharing with the municipality, we've been wanting to have some education come through the committees here. So I think that it's slowly putting it out there. People are seeing it, people are being informed, and then they want to ask questions.
Awesome. All right, number 7. So we have Mr. Brian here.
So yeah, so I was just asked, I think Ben was asked, and Ben's on vacation this week and so on and so forth. So with respect to the airport signage, my understanding of the discussion is we're talking about the exterior signage at the airport, because most of the interior signage is bilingual. So I'm assuming we're talking about the exterior. I've also assumed, and I could be incorrect, but we're talking about the big Sioux Lookout that's on the concrete pillar, as you're coming up, Airport Road on the way to the airport. Is that, before I start talking, I should make sure that that's what we're talking about.
I'm not sure, you'll have to, we.
The old, when you came in, there was a sign inside, and it was actually the name. Where they sang the beaches, so it would be translated. And when the airport was being renovated, that sign came down, I asked about to take this money, so it would not get lost. And it was actually told, no, so that was a meeting with that. So I asked them, would they need a similar sign in would you create at the airport? That's what we are.
Right, so a sign on the, so again, I just want to make sure I understand what is being requested. Do you mean a sign on the exterior of the building? So we're not talking about where it says Sioux Lookout Airport.
Well,
This is flat.
Yeah,
I would say yes. I mean, we're, if the branding has.
so,
Cost a lot, but it won't.
sorry. We should come to the costs.
Not so much.
Oh, yes, yeah. And that's really the only information I can provide. Ultimately, whether or not council wants to add signage is up to council. And so the committee ultimately would have to make that recommendation to council if that's where we want to take it. Yeah, it would be very costly. We'd be looking at north of $100,000 to
Put a sign. Yeah.
well, if we want to match what's there now, yes.
Mhm.
So that concrete thing would need to be twice as tall as it is. So that's about 60 to 75,000. And the rest would actually be the actual printing of the signage to go on that concrete. That's based on the costs for the current sign that's there based on what that concrete cost. And so you have to remember that these numbers are quite old. These are from like 2017. So it would be north of that more.
Yeah.
North of that.
So how about a compromise then? Um, This. Just. Some.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's opposed to having a discussion about signage and what it can look like. I think if the committee, wants to give more thought to specifically what that recommendation would look like and where it would be located, on the front of the building, suggested size, suggested placement. If you can provide those recommendations to council, I think the more specific you are with what you think is appropriate, the easier it is for council to make a decision on a specific ask. So I would encourage the committee to have that discussion and say, okay, we'll maybe putting it on the side and, maybe the 100,000 option isn't what the committee wants to recommend, but if it's on the front of the building where the wing type thing is or whatever, I can get Megan a few photos, designs from the airport just so you can see the front of the building a little bit better and where you think it might look nice.
But even that would be very cost prohibitive, and if it's cost prohibitive, maybe we'll see if we can get it approved. But if we need to do something like that, or something, something costs like $1,000.
Yep,
Expense versus $100,000, but you can still incorporate some branding in, but not at that expense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, my perspective is I'll leave it with the committee and whatever you feel is best to recommend to council, please do. And, we will take it from there. Yeah, I guess the most important message I want to deliver today is that, there's no opposition to the recommendation, from a staff level or anything like that. This is just about wanting to make sure we fully understand what's being asked for so that we can provide the best guidance as how to reach that goal. So, but yes, very supportive of, making that visible at the airport, based on the committee's best recommendations.
Do we have a group go up there and just take, like, I'm not familiar with the airport, and that's why I'm recommending it. Like, if everyone's in the same boat as I am, should we not visit the site and come up with something and then propose that a motion to the committee?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm looking at photos. Yeah, it's hard to see.
Oh,
You need to go there and physically look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Years, wow. Hope it really messed us up.
Yeah, well, I do have a question.
for you, Brian, it has to do, like, we did have a discussion earlier about some of the museum items that used to be displayed in the airport prior to. And I can't remember exactly where we sat on that, but like, the airport is technically a very nice place to be able to start showcasing some of these. And I mean, I don't know if that needs to come again to council or just where it needs to go, but just since we're
Yeah,
here.
so, absolutely, I think, given that the museum is somewhat dormant, right now, but of course, we still have all the artifacts, we still have access to them. The actual display cases that we used to have, I think was returned to an organization that they were originally borrowed from many years ago. So at this point, the only, I won't say the only, the primary hurdle is just finding appropriate display cases, and then, finding, someone to, be able to curate an appropriate display based on what we do have. But in terms of making the artifacts available to someone who would want to look and potentially work on curating the display, absolutely, we can do that. We do have a number of years ago, we were successful in securing a grant, and we were able to hire somebody to digitally archive every single artifact that we have. So we have a database that people can look through, so you can actually see what every artifact looks
Nice.
like, and then sort of determine what an appropriate display would look like. So absolutely, whatever I can do to facilitate that, just let me know.
No, if we wanted to take that on as a project, like, 'cause we have $2,500, let's say we could potentially purchase with our $2,500 next year, two display cases, would we be allowed to do the work? Would
Absolutely,
we go through the
Absolutely.
items and do the displays ourselves?
absolutely.
Because really, realistically, that is the only way that we're gonna get, and I discussed it with Brian before, I believe the museum should be everywhere.
Mhm.
Like, we're never going to, the concept of us getting $500,000 or $2 million museum is never gonna happen. And in the meantime, our items are sitting in the basements. They should be in schools, they should be at the hospital, they should be at the airport and in the library. Those display cases should be there. So, and are there grants? Like, would we be able to get a grant to cost share to get the display cases?
That's great, Megan. Can you make a note of that? And I will look into grants for that.
Especially for artifacts and like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
is it all different things, right?
Yeah, I do believe that the school, like Brian lent them to the school, Mount School one year, or was it for Treaty Days, I think. it was.
For
Heritage Day.
yeah, for
Yeah.
the September 30th.
Yeah, so one of the schools borrowed them and did do a display. So, I mean, we need to get the stuff out of the basement.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be in storage in the basement. We need to pay respect to the items and get them out on
We
display.
can check on the grant. Yeah, and then in the meantime, I will make a note to add this to next year's
Yeah.
work plan, so that it's on there with some,
So that would, again, would fall under education.
And another thing that would really support that, sorry, is if we can go back to working with the high school students, they may want to work with the acrylic for the display case. They may want to do the stands, like it might be a project for them. And that is building community, that is supporting everybody. So
And they even maybe might want to help with the displays.
Exactly.
Like, you know, like.
Creative people.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of, in terms of the display cases, I think there's some different ways we can look at that, in terms of, curing them. So whether that's the partnership with high school, if they have the capacity and the interest, which is something the committee can certainly explore. I personally think that, if there's, if that's not an option, or for the purchase of the supplies for the students to build them, or if we're just going to procure them some other way, some other place. I'd actually like to see that cost come out of the recreation and culture department budget, as opposed to your committee's budget. 2,500 isn't a lot.
No,
And I've been seeing some of the amazing work and projects that you have on the way, and I hate to detract, or, reallocate those funds for something that's not very expensive, like display cases. So if we can, I would like to preserve your $20 for your specific, but absolutely, we would definitely need for input, help, and assistance with the actually curating the displays. That would be fantastic.
Just as a thought, I'm thinking of, when we're talking about this, I'm thinking about Brad Hislop. Brad Hislop has spent years looking for artifacts. He knows quite a bit about it. He's an archaeologist, the whole 9 yards. We could kind of bring him on board because he recognizes pottery and stuff. For me, it's just the clay. I don't, sadly, I don't see the meaning like he would, right?
And I believe he's an archaeologist.
Yeah, he's got quite the collection, senior collection.
Because you may even want to share.
Yeah.
The exhibits, so.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, I know before when we did do the rotating displays, like I know we had one at the train station, we had one at the Centennial Building in the main lobby, there was one at the airport, there was, at the library, and like I think we were looking at the time, I think it was like maybe quarterly or semi-annually, sort of changing up the displays so that, one of the things I will tell you about our the Sioux Lookout Community Museum's collection is, it is the envy of many other museums in Northwestern Ontario. When that was part of my role, I was part of the Sunset Country Museum Network Association, and so we would all get together a couple of times a year, and each community would host it at their museum. And consistently, that was the message I heard from, and some of these folks have been in these roles, like in Dryden and North, for like decades, like they, and consistently, it's Sioux Lookout has some of the best artifacts in the region. And, that always stuck with me, because I'm like, all the more reason we need to share them so that people can see them, and appreciate them and whatnot. So anyway, I won't belabor that.
They're stored where?
Sorry.
Where are they stored?
In the basement of the library. Yes, they're all in boxes with the acid-free tissue paper, and they are stored according to the leading practices for such items. Yeah.
Do they still have a display at the CM station? Is that gone now, or?
Yeah, there's no display.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You can't get in.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome.
My question answered. Awesome.
Meeting's over, Reese.
Reese, you got signed up for everything.
Yeah.
Let's skip ahead to number 4 because Brian was going to speak to the Memorial Day.
Thank you. Yes.
I forget her last name, but she's also not the archaeologist, Eileen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, she had that thing.
Yeah. What's her last name?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. And Vera Camille Court, it's very interesting.
She's on the original team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Vera was instrumental in our efforts to catalog and archive a lot of your artifacts, including Range River records. I mean, the time and effort that she has put in over the years is remarkable. She has been incredible. So just want to thank that.
Okay.
All right, we're skipping ahead to, we're at number 8, item 4.
Yes, so the memorial on Wellington Street, I understand the group is interested in, or the community member is interested in, sort of making a more permanent memorial. And I think that's a fantastic idea. I know that what's there now was put together very quickly, and I know Darlene was key in that initiative. And so our, wherever that, whatever is determined to be the most appropriate location for that memorial, I'm very happy to have that conversation with the committee in terms of where you think it should be. The challenge with the current location is there's a few challenges. One is it's difficult to access, like if you're traveling by vehicle. Really not. I know people sometimes just park at the top, that actually is private land. So getting there, being there, having an appropriate place to sit and that reflect and so on. I think that's all really important. I'm just not sure if that location is the best location for that, but again, I think that's the conversation the committee can have. With respect to which portion of that property is owned by the municipality and which portion is owned privately, I was trying to nail that down this morning. I wasn't able to get a definitive answer, but my understanding is that from the caboose south is still municipal property. I still have to confirm that. I cannot imagine that we would have sold property that included the caboose. Have required us to move it by now. It's been a few years since we sold that property, but I will confirm that for sure. I would just suggest to the committee that in thinking of a good location, that things be considered like, accessibility, not just for vehicles, but walking accessibility, people who have mobility issues, then being able to access the site. And, I'm sort of thinking some type of ish setting, I think would be, respectful and so on. But again, these are just my ideas off the top of my head. And I'll sort of leave that with the committee as well, and let me know what your thoughts are, and if it's a decision I can make on my own, then I will, and if it's something that I need to bring to council, then I will. But I think I've been eager to see it morph from sort of the temporary display into a more permanent display and acknowledgement. So I'm really happy that the committee is looking at this and having this conversation, and if and how I can support, just let me know.
And just for meeting minutes purposes, and if anyone is watching, just so it's clear, we're just a group of people that are going to support the community members who actually put the memorial together, so that it doesn't come across as it's our project that we're taking over. So
thank you for that. Sorry. Thank you very much.
I just want to make sure.
At the last meeting, Darlene's not here, but she did say that it started with the mayor and Garnet
Right.
and was not able to just cover. I think it was also Garnet and the mayor. And they believed that there needed to be a spot for people to go and one, and they believe that will be required in the future. So
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think things will be required in the future, because we used to have the sanatorium here.
Right.
So there are things, again, out in the stratosphere there that talk about things. So this relates, like the monument is national because it relates to the first people who were found at residential schools. And because there are, I think, just from Kenora to Thunder Bay, I think we're 5 residential schools. We may be impacted here. And so having having a memorial that is supported to our region as well. And nothing against the initial 215. I'm just saying, like, if we are now starting to consider parking, possibly an area for them to be, like, those are things. So having a more permanent, if that, as that was our discussion at that place, just with what you shared with us, is it really feasible at this moment to be able to make it permanent? Because it's on the main street. Like, anybody who stops that one lane, like the rest of Sioux Lookout is down to like half a lane. Like, so maybe it's just, it gives us a bit more opportunity to see, is there a place in Sioux Lookout? Is there something that the town already owns that we'd be able to have this? Again, we have the monument at the town beach that was able to stay and, you know, participate there, and that beachfront looks really nice, but we have a lot of land that looks good. So
Absolutely.
And we had discussed and asked for council if we could have some input into Front Street study.
Yeah.
And that we were told at that meeting that we were to go to the public meeting, and we went to the public meeting, and it wasn't really about that.
Right.
There wasn't really a format for that, so we didn't really have an opportunity as a committee to give our input into that, and I really think that that is important. That
Absolutely.
we need to hear from Indigenous people what they feel the direction of that area should be. And there was some discussion of maybe moving the memorial there. And right now it's a splash pad instead. So we need maybe to have an opportunity as a committee to meet with the people who are doing that planning, which we haven't been given that opportunity yet.
Yeah.
So we really feel that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So Megan, if you can reach out to Jen on that, and have that conversation, that would be great. And also just on this topic in general, at the, with the involvement of the TRC and, there was an initiative, that was sort of just in its infancy, to look at, the northernmost section of Northwest Cemetery, which we know there are a number of folks insured there who may have who attended the residential school in Sioux Lookout. There's also a considerable number of people insured there who had passed away from TB at the time when that was all happening, and so there was also discussion about a common memorial in that part of Northway Cemetery. And so that initiative was just sort of paused out of the utmost respect for the Bring Our Children Home initiative that Lac School is leading on behalf of a number of communities. And we just said, you know what, let's let Lac School do whatever investigations they're going to do, because I know that they're looking at the former zone hospital and potentially ground penetrating radar investigations there and all this kind of stuff. So before we proceeded any further, the decision was made, you know what, we're just going to take a back seat and see what comes of their initiative, and then we will sort of take our cue from them with respect to moving forward on that. So I just wanted to let you know that it was never forgotten. It's just, we've just been sort of waiting for Lexington and their process. So yeah. Because
I think that one might need its own working group.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian.
so thank you very much, everybody. I think we're taking up too much.
I thought- Do you want to get spotty for a I thought it was very
You can turn down pie. I'm like.
Pie, it's very fun. It's like my favorite
You look
of
out
all
there.
time. It's so much fun. Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time. I hope I didn't take up too much of yours. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
So we'll move to item number 8. Now we're to item 1. Blueberry Festival Working Group, any Josh?
Exactly.
Came from like, putting me with. When you check in. So with the Blueberry Festival, everything seems to be good. We just need to get, somebody has a certified food handlers for barbecue.
You do have one?
Or they
We
need
do have someone in Hudson who does have one.
Okay.
So we're gonna like force her. Like, here, Monday, August, or just make sure, because, yeah, that's a new requirement now. Yeah, everything seems to be good for the Blueberry Festival, working group, like, one question is, do we have an elder lined up, or anyone wants to come? Or-
I think that's one area.
Colin told, because he wasn't here at the last meeting.
Thanks, guys.
And if we are still proceeding with it, I know we're not priming the rocks. That's what. But I have a collection of like 4 rocks I just found walking, so I have 4.
Yeah, I think it's good. I asked, how big are you like doing the rocks? Like this big, this big?
This big.
You're making like a nice little canvas.
Yeah, I don't know if I could write the whole call to action, but I could be like, I'll look it up myself, number 4 or something. Like that.
Yes, okay.
You do the research, yeah.
So we're still painting? Like, what do we, or no?
We're painting them, but I'm not priming them.
Not priming?
Yeah.
So painting them in their natural state.
No.
You want to know something that I found really interesting?
Yeah.
We're all on TikTok or Reels one time of our day.
Yeah.
It was quite interesting that this lady took rocks, put them in the oven, warmed them up, and then used like the wax from crayon to decorate them. And I thought, well, that's interesting too, because then we're not always painting. Wax does tend to have a little bit less permanency.
Yeah.
So, but again, I want to say like, I really enjoy painting rocks.
Yeah, me too.
So there are, I know that if we want to take this opportunity, use it as a teaching on like the nature that we like are acknowledging, and then also, but it really is about getting people to an activity to be able to hear and to be able to like have an. So I want to tell you, like, I still really appreciate the rocks to action. I really do. And I'm like, if we get rid of rocks, I'm like, now we have like, I think I said to Lana, I go, now we have to find balance. It's like rock to action. So I was like, oh my goodness, how are we going to keep Reese's? Right, we need a rock band. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely.
Maybe
Yeah,
two
it's
friends
so
will
much
make
more.
it.
What's that, sorry?
Doesn't have.
Over cream, yeah.
What? Without whipped cream, he said.
Oh, you mind if I give you this one?
We'll take your whipped cream.
Yeah, to answer your, I think Victor Romaine would be a good
Nice.
people to ask.
Making one, making one. You got one, actually, perfect.
I've been with friends who have clubs and jobs and stuff like that. So it's exciting to go because there's many lots of this size. And they're lots which have been displaced. So actually, if you use tools for the project, I really sort of giving them a new life.
There you go.
I'm going to the former Hudson Mill site,
Oh, yeah.
so I'm like, well, those are coming up here, so I feel like. I take it off.
a collection.
Mine, we have rocks everywhere.
Rocks in my kitchen.
Just want to ask, so for this event, I was gonna bring like sugar cookies and just like loop now. For the food thing, can I bring them? Like you don't have to
Yeah.
sell them,
The
but
safe food handling is just about, so I talked to the health unit, it's a lot of just like bureaucracy. It's kind of just like, okay, we have to mix, like, for example, for the barbecue, for the pride parade, it has to be pre-cooked burgers. Pre-cooked hot dogs. You have to make sure that you have a cooler to cool them, make sure that they're, the drinks so that in case someone gets sick, that everyone's bases are covered. That's pretty cool. Like, that's what the person told me. He was just like, yeah, it's just like, we're just doing this in case there's a breakout of like something happens, at least we know that this person got sick from this. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. Yeah. So I think store-bought cookies is fine. I think it's just about processing.
Can't bake them then?
You can make them.
Yeah, I think,
As long as you're not selling them.
I'm not selling
Giving them.
No.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I, yeah.
all right.
Now, do we have an elder? Did we decide? Do we have?
He did suggest Romaine and,
Romaine or Victor.
or
Are you
Victor.
gonna reach out to them and talk to them, Brett? Alright. Now, will we have to provide an honorarium?
Honorarium would be the
Consideration,
respectable thing.
yes, definitely.
We'll have to take that.
And actually, if you do not mind, can you ask them if there is a teaching about rocks? Because I'm assuming there is,
Yes.
but I guess what had happened was, because you weren't at the last meeting, we had the rocks to action. Darlene had mentioned that one of the community members and elders had said that when you paint rocks, you could potentially be harming them. So we were trying to come up with the way to do this well.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah,
I wanted to find out an elder.
The teaching with the rocks is that the rocks are, they're the ground faults because they're ancient, because they've been here since Earth was formed, right? So what do we do as well last ceremony? We bring the rocks, those are grandfathers to acknowledge them as such. And when we put them in the fire, like they're sacrificing themselves for the people that way. So we burn them, we basically, they're animate objects, right? They have a spirit, right? So in a survival, we do that. It's basically taking that spirit that for your life, right? That's some of those teachings around that, and maybe there's other ones more extensive teachings around it too. So, but I've seen a lot of artwork on a lot of different things like birch bark and things like that too. So
And that's
Yeah.
where we wanted to, I'm glad you brought up the birch
Yeah.
bark, because that's where we wanted to be sensitive. We want to be
Yeah,
able to, all of us need to learn, like, I didn't know about that. And I was upfront about it. It's like, I didn't know that we had this. And it's good to be able to even
just
hear.
I think that awareness and knowing that, and just kind of knowing that, it just makes it brings more sacredness to what you're doing.
Mhm.
So would we do, I'm just trying to think, logistically, so at the beginning of our event, in the first, let's say 15 minutes, would it be the teaching? So we would start with the teaching, and then would we do a blessing as well? Remember, or would we do the blood?
I think we would let the
Elders tell us what.
the person that's coming kind
Yeah,
of decide
decide
that, yeah.
That's no, I'm thinking like,
And we did talk about when we collect the rocks, we're supposed to leave some tobacco,
Yeah.
so that they know that it's collected with respect. Okay, if you are looking for a honorarium, I have a minimum of a week time for finance to check a week. So I would need to know a name and an amount as quickly as possible. Okay, so can Brent just follow with the name and everything?
Yep.
And how do we decide on the amount? Just do you have a policy? Is there a policy? That's anywhere, but I would check. I do not believe there is one.
I just got an arbitrary question here about tobacco. Is it a special kind of tobacco or like?
No, it's
Oh,
tobacco.
it's all like sweet grass or something.
It's loose, just loose.
Yeah, we picked some on the normal TV. This is just like, what's that?
It's
It's
usually like
tobacco.
the loose pack of tobacco
Yeah.
that you buy at the store.
Yeah, this is just players. Yeah.
Players.
Okay, I
Comes
got
in a pouch, comes in a pouch.
Okay.
Yeah.
preferably the us.
Yes.
Oh, you don't see it about tobacco actually growing around
When you
here,
have
right?
it.
It's not about Ontario, they grow actually tobacco. that would be a preference. Use what we got now, right?
So for the honorarium, can we just like decide, just come to agreement beforehand? So we were just thinking like kind of average, like $200. Bring For the elder.
couple, so would it be each or for the couple?
It depends if one or both want to do it.
Yeah. We'll just set the rate as 200 and then whatever decide.
If
Like,
one or two come,
If it's one or two, then it'd be for each.
because you're taking into consideration the time.
Yeah.
And then
And
their travel and their teaching, right?
Yeah.
And they may want to stay around and just use that opportunity to educate us more.
Yeah, hopefully that's the,
Mhm.
Right, the sooner I can get the names, so the better.
Do we need to make a motion to accept that or should
Yes.
we? Okay, so motion $200 honorarium per person for the Rocks to Action.
And should we say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maximum.
Yeah, which is that mean?
Oh, yeah, our budget, yeah.
Your person should be happy.
Next year?
Yeah. Everyone's, okay.
Yeah, move to that.
yeah.
Oh, everyone put their hand up, so I just assumed that was
Yeah.
kind of,
All
in favor.
I'll move.
I would.
Okay.
Also,
we got. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we're number 2 under item 8.
Okay, so I think where we're at with this is we sort of need an answer from Megan because I have commitments from people. Tikanagan actually sent us like Reese did design the template. Reese designed that?
No, this was not me.
Okay, I was gonna.
Oh,
Okay.
he designed a template.
Yeah.
We sent to them, and they designed that themselves. That is their own thing. So my point of view sort of is that we're doing an education campaign and what they want to use as their education information is fine with us. And it doesn't need to be branded with our branding or whatever, as long as they want to join in and educate people on what they're doing and how far they've come along. I think that's wonderful.
And
So, and they're going to pay for it themselves.
exactly.
So, and that's sort of the concept, to try to get as many people as possible involved with their information around this.
Now, there are some things on those templates that Tikanagan sent that are, I would really love to be able to kind of see flow through the rest of the other standees. Because they didn't just do a call to action, they actually identified which ones they were addressing as their own organization. And I found that to be very, very, it's not just, these are the items that are listed. It's like, these are what we actually did. And I found that to be so much more powerful when you're sitting there looking at it. I liked how the template came out. I enjoyed the design. I was like I said, we were excited to see what Reese was going to do. I'm like, Reese did these? I was like,
I did create one for Slipknot. Except for the ones I did, I actually like listed out the actual call to action, like not just like.
what they did, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
that's why I wanted to see the two, because what does the calls to action look like when it's just put on paper, like on the standee? And then with Tikanaga, it was like what they're actually doing to address their calls to action within that sector of like, society. So it's like, it was so,
Meaningful, there's.
yes,
meaningful.
it was very meaningful.
Yes.
So,
And it sort of will give people the opportunity to see what is possible. What
yeah,
would happen if you do take the calls to action and implement them?
yes.
Where could we go with this?
Or
So,
like, yeah, if you actually read them, like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's very informative. Yeah,
Yeah.
so hopefully, I don't know whether everyone is, because I'm talking with communication officers in many organizations, and not all organizations have communication officers. And some of them are just sort of going with what we're doing with just publishing the calls for action, where they've sort of taken it to the next level, which we're really grateful for. But now our next step is, like, I'm gonna try to work with Reese on the ones that we have committed to. So, and we were sort of talking that we spent $500 already this year, and then we just spent $400 on the honorarium.
Possibly,
So
yeah.
we have $1,100 left. So that sort of means that we can do 3
Yeah,
Three of our-
and also too, about the lawn signs too. like,
Yes,
get-
so, yeah, so the three banners that I would like to see us do for sure is sports, because we have the arena. And the governance one, which would be here. And then we can do a third one. Which we can look at which ones we're gonna do. And the schools have all jumped on board, there's quite a few people have jumped on board, but our next step needs to be from Megan is logistically, how do we lock them down, basically, because they've committed, but we need some type of document for them to sign that they're willing to pay. So how do we do that? You were supposed to sort of look into that. You know, I'm gonna say that I honestly did not remember that. I don't even remember typing it out, so, I will look into that, I'm gonna write it down, so I look into it. As far as getting a commitment from them, because I have the commitments, like, you know, I'm getting the actual like contract, not a commitment. Yeah, I'm not sure, and I will look into it for sure. Because we could do like, where we have the company bill them directly, like I could just speak with them and say the company is gonna bill you, but then if they don't pay, then the company would be represented. Yeah, so I don't know whether we want to be more responsible, whether you pay the whole bill to the company and we people, so logistically, we just need to know what is our next step. Okay, yeah.
And I think, just to say, like, if the committee has representation from the council and we're essentially using municipality to be able to say, this is our logo from the Truth and Reconciliation Committee, like, there should be some policy that even says, like, if it's a direct bill or if it's going to be a contract for a project, there should be something that.
And they're
that-
not.
Yeah,
I
so
will for sure.
I would
think
assume.
this one just kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just evolved to my mind, yeah. And the other thing too is, like I said to Reese, like, we're not really that concerned with making sure all of our branding is out there, that's not really our goal. Our goal is to educate people on truth and reconciliation, so if an organization wants to brand it differently in their own way, we're okay with that.
One of the suggestions around that was just for some instance, was that bottom of part
Yeah.
there, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people recognize it,
Yes, so that it's the same.
But like the design part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them have freedom at it, right?
Yeah.
I think I was talking with Nate about this, we just gotta make this, the stuff to one approved by executives.
Yeah.
That's always stuff I mind, so we gotta.
You know, your comment, I think Tikanaga does a really good job of tracking kind of what they do and they've
Mhm.
done a really good job of that over the years. Other organizations might not be at that same level of doing that kind of thing, right? So Tikanaga does a wonderful job. of Accountability and transparency around a lot of initiatives they do, so.
I did not receive anything from you regarding a standee, because I had mentioned that keto kitchen make was up in.
Yes. I sort of haven't sent people like the thing yet, because we, like, our concept at when we started was that we were just gonna print the calls for action. So when we design them, we would send it to you and say, this is okay. But now that we've seen someone else take it to the next level, I don't know that you would want to do that. We can send you our template and I can send you what.
No, I don't know your actual,
Whatever you send to a communications officer, because we just got one.
Send them individually each
Yeah,
time
that's what I
based
said.
on my conversations. Yeah, so I will, okay. And I'll get you to send. They've all been different. I haven't done. I've called people and I've sent, based on what our conversations are, I haven't sent out a mass. Yeah, I just know you're
Contacting people, and I had brought it up, so I just want to make sure. So I just want to make sure that it gets to the communications, because there's a communications officer now, so. Making sure you're connected with the right people.
And we're sort of hoping that we should lock down who we want to print.
Oh, cast off, make it local.
Do we want to do it?
Yes.
I think the two codes, yeah, and signature and silence, and signatures.
Yeah, signatures, yeah. fine. Yeah.
Well, we'll do.
Or the 50 codes.
Let's do
Do I do 50?
a quote.
You know, if you're doing like
Yeah.
4 codes and they're really, really close.
They're
Okay, if you're thinking of doing like 3 this year and 3 next year, why not choose one company this year?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, I think that we were hoping to do them all, like
As
3
many
for
as we can.
ourselves for the municipality. But the other ones that the members of the organizations are doing. So we might end up coming on these 10, so we could do
I don't know.
5, just for time.
Or the municipality as a
People pay
whole.
double the production.
In a year
So
from
like
now.
the sport.
No, like we use two organizations to pay production costs. You're
Yeah.
basically-
I can't see them doing that, I can. You know what I
The
mean?
quote was very
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah.
So do you
yeah,
wanna do 50/50?
Might as well.
Yeah.
Make it equal
Cat spot
in signatures, yeah.
and signature.
Like, I can read first one.
So my question for you is, what if they don't have the same, because their products were slightly different, does that matter? Well, you know, they're not gonna be side by side anyways, if you're going around town. We talked about having them side by side at certain events. Ours, one's real, okay, and once, like, you know, if it's North Line, if it's North High School. Okay, so as long as you're okay with it. Yeah, have that, that's all I'm asking. Yeah. And even if they are side by side, everyone's gonna notice that this one is a little bit different. It's fine. They're all gonna be individual. Like,
I was confused and I looked it up. It's. Very interesting. And so they were three. It's sort of interesting. Yeah. Some close to action churches. Anyway, so we just Yeah.
But maybe, yeah, but maybe because we talked about, like, because there's a section on churches. So I sort of asked her to navigate that, since she's familiar with the local clergy and whatever, and but even if they don't participate now, I think our message needs to be that these are available, and hopefully at some point
Yeah.
they could maybe join in.
Yeah.
St. Andrews is mean to people one.
Okay, so St. Andrews is in, okay, perfect.
I think visually the concept, because I looked at the ones in the downstairs. And there's a lot of pictures, so that's where I was going with pictures, but these ones are more
Words.
Yeah.
Yes, and there is a lot of text, so like if you were to put pictures on, it would be, where would you get the pictures, and would be only pictures, and
Yeah.
then would the text be smaller? Because if it's too small, no one's gonna read it, so, and it is, some of them are quite,
Well,
Like
the church
text.
was very, very wordy.
yes, yes,
Really wordy.
Yeah.
So that's really.
so maybe you could, like, again, like Tikanagan did, your church could choose to personalize it and maybe focus on just some of the
Yeah.
calls to action rather than publish them all, or you could publish them all, it's up to you what you choose to do. Awesome.
All right, so item number 3, just, we're looking at setting a specific date each month for our meetings from 11 to 1 and suggesting the 3rd Tuesday of every month. Was that?
So that would be this week of the month, so that the week after the regular council meeting, it would be the Tuesday. That is available as far as I can see on the calendar. Would that be the fourth Tuesday of the month then?
The third.
The third Tuesday.
No, well, I thought that the council meeting is the third Wednesday, so it's after the Wednesday. Probably the fourth Tuesday.
Which will this out, so maybe the fourth Wednesday of the month?
Well, she's checking because she wants it to be after the council meeting, and the council meeting's already there Wednesday. Why would it have to be after?
After, because that would give me good time to be able to bring a report to council and have it submitted in time. If I wanted it in next month.
Because if we did it on a Tuesday meeting or something, Wednesday, we would need to have a lot.
No time for that.
Wasn't your July meeting just on the 19th?
Yeah.
June meeting or June meeting, right?
And like, it wasn't the last council meeting on the 19th or whatever it was?
Yeah, right, third Wednesday.
Third Wednesday, but the first Wednesday, first.
So if I were to all get to
Yeah.
Yeah, done.
I'm looking at, I'm just going, that, like, the July meeting you guys just had was the third Wednesday. The June meeting on the 19th was the third Wednesday.
Yeah, it's always the council is the third Wednesday.
Okay, you're right, so I'm saying the fourth Wednesday.
The fourth Tuesday, you're saying.
So fourth Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay.
So you didn't want Monday.
Well,
yeah, I know, I said I didn't want it, I didn't want it. That's a given now.
For you.
So it was funny because Monday when I messaged you, you're like, it's not till Wednesday. I'm like, oh, for crying out loud.
Because I know that Darlene said she had problems with the last week of the month.
Yes.
So you wanted it the same week as council, to do it the day before the council meeting.
Does that give you enough time to prepare if anything does come up? A day? No, right?
It would have to go for me for like the next,
Yeah.
so if we had the meeting in July, I wouldn't be able to take anything until the August council is kind of how it would work. It would have to be the following month.
But that's
But that would
helpful.
give me enough time to get a report written and
Exactly.
submitted before.
Yeah.
So you want to go the third Tuesday then?
Well, we have to consider your time too, Megan, because you're pulling everything together, so.
Mondays.
Yeah.
But and I did check the calendar, Tuesdays were fine.
Okay,
So
Tuesday's
third
work.
Tuesday then? Yeah, because I first Wednesday.
And we're still at 11.
Yeah.
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 It seems like 11 to 1 worked the best for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, did we hear from that?
I did not get a response this time. Last time you told me I would be able to attend.
We did bring the Zoom to the
Yeah.
council and it's moving forward, but it takes time.
Yeah.
They're coming to report now and it's gonna come back and,
We voted on, yeah.
yeah, so
So what did you guys bring forward about the Zoom? Just that it
that
would be.
we allow
Yeah,
people
yeah.
to Zoom into meetings.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so it was a motion to reconsider those passed, so a staff report has to come in and that's when it's voted on, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good, yes, thank you. I
So
was
the
like,
first, we managed to get it through the first phase.
The first couple.
Yes, so the next step with it is they're supposed to come up with parameters,
Yeah.
I believe, on how many people can be gone and via Zoom, because I mean, if everybody's on Zoom, that's a little bit hard.
you lose quality, yeah.
How many times you can and that kind of thing. So once that report's written, then council will get to decide.
And there might be a difference between what people do on the committee and what they do in the council.
Yeah.
Because everyone's sort of at the council thing, we're very supportive of committees being.
Virtual,
Yeah, virtual.
And the vision point out that especially for the council, there's sometimes in having stuff that you couldn't do that on
Yeah.
Zoom because you can tell who was working that.
And hopefully, if once we can get the Zoom feature through, hopefully we'll get more participation from that Zoom.
Yeah.
Probably because they don't have to try all the ways to do it. Yeah, it's just a little.
Okay, item number 10, update on our work plan and progress.
With the lawn signs.
Yeah, the lawn signs.
Yeah, it's on the, I was on the back of me anyway.
There's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It's quickly, so I spoke to.
Like, kind of close to 8 to 10.
Yeah, and I was like, evening please, it's a long time, and she was more than happy, she's like, yeah, go ahead. So like, that sounds like a good idea,
That's what the students say? Okay.
yeah. So the sign should be up soon, right?
There was emails
Yeah.
with Brian and the high school.
Yeah, so they should be up soon, I hope so. So.
Right? That was one of the
I was hoping that maybe we can maybe buy some, not like 1,000, but not maybe like 100. And the mouth, and maybe they can get like the taste in people's mouths, so.
Just about $10
Yeah.
to purchase a sign. So at $100,000 and we have 1,100
Why don't you
left.
just give me a proposal and I will take it somewhere and get some money.
Ooh.
Yeah, yes.
I know where you're going.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we, but we just have to decide, if I could get the money to get them made up. And if we decide to sell them,
Or give
if, where does that money go?
Into the committee. Fund.
that would be nice.
Can we do that?
If there's funding,
Find out.
if there's money to pay for
I
them.
believe you're allowed to fundraise, but I will have to check. But if they're
Well-
funded, we should give them.
If they're funded, I was.
Or a
thinking-
donation.
Or something.
Yeah, maybe for a donation, maybe that's like help fund the TRC.
Because we could use that money to run a reception.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one with the hands and with the piece, right?
Yeah, I just asked about this, cause I just asked about this one, and maybe we could do both, maybe.
Okay, so just help me remember, we were already getting,
Their signs.
The signs stuff.
Yeah.
They're done.
okay, so they're already printed.
Yeah,
And who'd you go to?
It's a project that the high school.
At the high school, that's it,
Yeah.
thank you, I was like, where did we, it was like, it was a high school.
yeah.
Yes.
And I saw on the street, everybody asked about lawn signs in the last meeting. I saw her on the street and I was like, hey, I was like, would you approve of us doing lawn signs? She was like, yeah, that's a great idea, go ahead. So I was like, okay, and the one that popped in my head was just this one. That's the one that.
Well, Thunder Bay did one that, Beach has no place here and,
Yeah.
and it's an all-inclusive sign. And my sister brought a lot of them to Sioux Lookout and there was wonderful response and they
Yeah.
did, I want to say they were $10.
Oh,
And
wow.
I bought one, I'm gonna say 3 years ago.
It's still
in my
up.
yard. And
Yeah,
it is still up, and I leave it out in the snow and everything, and it's still perfect.
yeah,
So they last really well in there. I think mine's been like the snow pile piled up, and it's still
yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
So they're quite nice.
We need one of those on the water tower.
Yeah.
I was teasing. That's right.
That's teasing. But okay, understandably, so if we have an opportunity to purchase more, then we can give them out.
Yeah.
In advance or things like that, this will be good, this is good.
I think the company in Thunder Bay, the people in Thunder Bay that are doing it, they just print in smaller batches. And
Yeah.
they disperse 100, and then if they need more, then they get another 100.
Yeah.
But we don't have to get 1,000 signs. We could start with even
100 to
50
start,
signs,
yeah.
and then if there's a
Look
good
around
response, to 50
town.
more. Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
keep our costs.
Okay, I'll send you an email with files, yeah.
Okay, awesome. I will
Okay.
find out
I didn't hear
if,
proposal.
Yeah, just so we're.
yeah, because we are going to need money to do our reception for the
Yes.
banners, because they're so.
Well, and we gotta fundraise for the museum, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, we need a museum.
We did quickly.
Missed it. It's-
That'd be a town one?
Yes, and
Yeah.
we're starting with the airport.
Okay, that's good.
It's 29 at the airport.
Yeah.
We missed you in that time.
Easy. Yeah, you got nominated to, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. See, lawn signs wasn't even there and then it just popped up on the paper. So-
Yeah.
All right, number 10, work plan.
I like that. It wasn't there. So, just the reception, were we looking at just September 30th for that as
Well,
well?
we'll have to see.
Depending on what the banners look like?
But hopefully, like, the reception won't be that expensive, because I mean, I'm sure we could get the friendship center donated and. We've got some
If it's on the 30th. Would it be ideal to see if there's an event already going on?
Yeah. Back off of here.
And just have like,
A
instead of
stand
doing
or a
separate,
booth.
instead of doing separate events, right? You know, like.
Yeah.
Like last year, Authority walk, right?
Yeah.
And ended up town beach, right? We could have had, you know, if something similar happens where you could have them set up there, right? And just like,
And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because again, if there are organizations in town that are already like preparing these, if there is going to be a meeting point and an end point, like how Slipna had last year with the town dock, maybe that's where other organizations want to put up something.
Yeah.
Like the walk is representative of like what September 30th means to people, right? But going to a place where like you see all of the people who are available to be there, then that's it's a booth or whatever. I mean, it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It's like you said, you have an opportunity to showcase some things. People have an opportunity to be at the beach, look around, be with people, do things.
so we'd have to find out what's going on. I don't know if the Authority is planning anything this year. Last year they got funding.
Yeah, last year it was real property doing all that.
They got funding. I'm not sure if they're doing it this year. I'm not sure what plans, but I want to talk to Darlene if she wants to bring back curb walk. So it'd be ideal if community groups came together and did one thing.
And maybe that's something that even just through people who are listening or ourselves is just by word of mouth saying, you know, we're seeing that there's like a gap where people are wanting to come together, but just due to like the nature of businesses, we don't always have those relationships until like a week before.
Yeah.
So if it's like, but if everybody's kind of like, it's July now and we're thinking about it on the forefront coming, it's like, maybe that's what people like, hey, yeah, maybe communications does reach out and say, you know, we're going to have a walk. It's going to start here and end here because we see it in the paper. We see it afterwards, but it's almost like we lack just a little bit of communication and connection with everybody.
I
So,
think that's
and
what
again,
COVID really did.
it-
to
yes.
Our community and events, because
Silos
there used to
us.
be networking groups, like where people from, a person from each organization would kind of get together and, you know, like different events would be much larger.
Yes.
right? And everything's,
and
we're
more,
back to being siloed into doing.
and there was camaraderie and building relationships because it wasn't just always one organization taking on the whole cause.
And we're pushing back, doing that, right? The Band of Bake Off, we got the organization partnering with that. But the two Aboriginal Day events, right? I think next year a commitment to work together and make sure there's one.
Yeah.
There's more joint organizing around that, right? So.
Exactly, and it
So
brings
we're
everybody
pushing
where they
it
want to
down,
go.
yeah.
Yes,
That is
and
not-
like you said, networking, maybe
So
that's just what we
could that
lost.
be an initiative, maybe not for this year, but next year, we work towards like bringing our organizations back together. And it doesn't have to be 20 people from one organization, like, hey, this is what we got going on. You know, like just communications, because I work in health and we don't communicate with, there's no communication. So I know just at a professional level, so I'm wondering, truth and reconciliation, we're all working together. It might be.
So do we
something
all engage
like
each
how
other?
we create some type of networking group that meets. A networking group, and we're not bound by always meeting in person, because
Yeah.
that we could do through Teams
Email,
or
yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
Or
right?
we can even have like a calendar and share.
A shared calendar.
And then once people realize, because the other thing that happens a lot too in town is like you run an event and then you pick a date, and then you know somebody else big is running against you don't realize, right?
Yeah.
So, and you can't fool around every time you want to work, and when you know you're doing
Yeah.
it, so if, because I think the chamber does that, don't they have the community calendar?
We try to
Yeah.
keep it and get feedback, but
Yeah.
it's a struggle.
Yeah.
But we do our best, but yeah, I'm
It's
just.
great.
yeah,
I like that.
We should even join with the chamber.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. I think our next year's work plan is almost full up. I
I
think
know
we've
you
got
do.
a.
Well, it's sort of.
It's evolving.
Sort of, yeah. Like, you know, this is the next step.
Yeah, I can include a draft of it for. It's maybe manageable for a year.
So go back to the reception. If there's something going on this year, maybe just to, correct, like
think
if
so.
the morning that's her walk and it's through Fog Rapids, that they always come back under that little
Cause you know, at the very first walk that happened, the Chamber of Commerce, all the businesses got together, we did a free barbecue for
Yeah,
everybody who participated. So, I mean,
and I don't want to speak for Darlene, but you know, that walk that Quayle organized, it's like, it was just them that day.
And that was a
At the
women's
end.
vigil?
No, it was the September residential school walk.
sorry.
And it was a big thing when it first started, but then and then it was just some of her staff at Quayle. It became smaller, right?
And maybe that's just an opportunity for us to address some of the things. It's like, when we do these activities, it's not just, it is for people to come together and get behind what's happening, but it's also to like take this time to educate. Like, if we were being, and I say this, like, sometimes, like, I'll tell you right now, I don't wear orange shirt on Orange Shirt Day, and I won't wear an orange shirt on September 30th. That's me. Because there are stories behind that people don't know. There are things behind that. So like, everybody takes an opportunity to educate somebody on how. So I won't wear an orange shirt on any of, you'll find me on every other day, but it allows people to have an opportunity. And again, it's like, we're standing with people, but it's also like, it's taking that time, even if it's like 10 minutes, just to like reiterate why the orange shirt was picked, why the Hide Moose campaign was picked. Like, it's taking that opportunity and just having people who were like first generation residential school survivors, second generation, so on and so forth. Like, it impacts and how we respond. It's coming together, but it's also understanding what's behind it. So just wanted to use that. Thanks.
Violence,
Against children?
Violence, no. Violence awareness.
Where is that? In Sioux Lookout? No, obviously I didn't know there was one.
remember, yeah, they did the Take Back the Night Walk.
That's been going on for
Yeah.
years, right?
Yeah.
So take back, I mean, often one of the organizations are. Shopping. Just like your Quayle, Swag. Shelter. Church. That's because I used to experience religion. It's when we were doing the purple light, shine the light campaign, and we were going to do it in the September Park. But on that Friday night, we would do the towns about Christmas lights. I thought we found out in the neighbor, and she said, "Oh, really, 20 years because he's got in that church without the lights." So that's how I got involved. And stayed up. So it's, yeah, take back the night, Sisters in Spirit on shirt. And then International Women's Day.
Murdered Indigenous women.
So take back. So usually the organizations.
Yeah, that was a victims of crime awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good network to connect with.
Yeah.
If there's something going on. Okay, sure.
Didn't even know about them, but yeah, I'm glad that that network is here, because that is just even you mentioning all of those places, they work. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So, okay. Next meeting date is
The third Tuesday.
the third. Don't even think anything. Okay,
Sorry,
Did make a note about the best practices kind of.
I wrote it down.
You did, okay.
Yeah.
Is that the
Yeah. I also got a calendar.
That's my favorite.
Hopefully next year we can get it approved to January. and putting it in
in the, yeah,
Well, now that we're starting to
Yeah.
identify things, it's kind of coming along.
Yeah, I will do a draft for you guys for next time, and then I'll leave a couple extra blank spaces, and you can come up with ideas as you come up with them and add them in, and then we can talk about it like each time on that one topic. Awesome.
great, so it is 12:30. Motion to adjourn.
Oh.
I think the letter's here.
I said we talked to everybody in the letter.
I don't think we should respond though,
It's been,
I agree.
because it was already like the mayor had already sent, because you in your
Yeah.
response, right?
I believe the,
So the
yeah, see, he
response-
says, okay, the mayor says to, he addresses it back to Tom. And he says, thank you for your note. I want to acknowledge receipt and also commit to a more thoughtful response in the next week or so. That's been a few weeks. Yeah.
2022.
So
2022.
that letter was addressed specifically to the Truth and Reconciliation Committee or to the municipality?
To the best of my knowledge, it was to the municipality,
So,
but the committee did decide at that time that given the tone of the letter, they decided not to respond.
okay, so
So we've never seen that letter is what we're at right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Previous committee viewed it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
And
that's fine.
decided not to respond.
Yeah, and
That's what I
I
was.
strongly disagree with that. That's why I've asked the question, because we got this, I will respond in a week or so. And okay, where's the response? Because it's an important, I believe it's an important question. And I believe that if anyone writes the municipality or committee a letter, that they should get a response. Any taxpayer should get a response. And he hasn't been given a response. I don't think it's right.
Are we sure?
Yes, we are sure.
Oh,
The mayor was confirmed.
so should we prep the mayor to respond or what?
Well, we can't respond to that letter to you.
Yeah, I kind of figured that, yeah. Whoops, sorry.
A day or two.
Yeah.
So should we, like, you wanted to invite him for us to listen to?
well, no, it was to move forward on looking at the original places that we talked about. So we want to talk. We said we want to do that until we dealt with this matter.
Well, the committee has to read the letter to find out what we're going to address, and the committee has not, this is the first time that
Yeah,
this
but
new
what
committee.
Tom wants to share and what we thought would be the good idea to talk with Tom has nothing to do with that, that's history. And then it was a very unfortunate situation where a group of people were reading this. And then it's a gap between the initiation of that and the completion is about 4 years later it took place. And the TRC committee formed in that time and they kind of started on board and it almost took it sounded like they were taking the forward to thinking they had taken credit for it. And Tom was a little annoyed about the history of that, which was basically the mayor and Garner and the French Center. So it was a committee basically not and so there was a petition to get the other named. that all took time to happen. And there was just a sort of misunderstanding that the TRC was at that time to play. And that's to the point that
Did it get renamed?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, in 2015.
It wasn't on behalf of the TRC work, it was work of the worker. So,
existed.
yeah, but what can we do as a committee to rectify that? We could just issue an acknowledgement informing the community what the name of the island is and recognize the people that did work.
Yeah.
Well, that was done when was the commemoration of the island. So the whole thing's up.
There was an article in the newspaper.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Public basically look at that. Is there anything written anywhere? Well, then renaming of that, is there anything in documentation, anything on websites somewhere?
Well, 2014, 15 is when they had the canoe race, so they had a big thing, they went around it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, right, and then that's what I was
Right.
trying to figure out, like, who,
Yeah, I mean,
if
there's-
anything was advertised.
No, I mean, if there's anything that exists right now that talks about history of that island.
So even just a little plaque, again,
Maybe in the museum.
Yeah.
I think maybe, no, it's just like anything before, if there's anything mentioned of that, it's clear. We're not, how that change came about, right? It's not us thing. So I think as a group, we're very mindful of not stepping on that group's toes, like around this memorial, and that, like, so we're very mindful of that. Forward in a good way like that, but I would suggest like if there's anything that comes up where there's mention of claimantness in that background, it just moving forward, it's probably identifies the right group.
I didn't really think that was the main topic of the email. I mean, yes,
Yeah,
that's
so
what
is
it
that.
was, but it was more. If this is the only thing the committee is saying they've done and we did all this work, what's the point of your committee?
So
Was what the question.
so I have an idea around that, thinking about too is looking at our kind of looking at this, right, and kind of doing I've talked to you about it already recent, kind of just talking about an update of what the committee's kind of doing, regular updates about what it's trying to do to achieve some of these calls to action. And being what the municipalities in general is doing as well too, right? So there's some more of that accountability and education around that too, right? So we're doing the call session with the Sandies and taking it a step further. What has the municipality achieved? What is the committee working on to accomplish some of these goals, right?
Yeah, because someone did ask me what we do. I was like, oh, we like do one. And I was kind of like, actually the law. But then of course, like, you want to be like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to be like, we did A, we're doing B, we're doing C.
So, yeah, so I'm looking at kind of like an alignment of these activities, how they align with
what we're
the calls to
doing.
action. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had a document that shows that, right? And it's something that's not available on the website. I think that.
Yeah, put it on the website too.
Yeah, we could have a section on the website, TRC, and we could put some of, like, our work plan for sure. And then some of the projects we're doing. But the other thing too is like, where the committee sort of formed and then it dissolved during COVID, and then we've just reformed. And we're evolving, like, we don't even really, like,
Yeah.
and we're trying to sort of expand our role with the municipality, like things like.
It didn't dissolve. It didn't
It
dissolve.
just was suspended.
What happened was is we went to Zoom meetings
Oh, yes,
and then people just never bothered to,
Engage.
you couldn't meet quorum.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
month after month after, it was.
yeah. So we've sort of put energy into reviving it. And I think we've successfully managed to recruit some great people. And we've had some great conversations and we're starting to do some work. So we're sort of really changing and evolving. And hopefully we're going to get to a point, I would like to see us get to a point where like things like the Front Street study like would come here to us first. Because there was a comment made at the public meeting that there wasn't a lot of Indigenous people at the public meeting and that the town needed to look at other ways to make sure that Indigenous voices were being heard. And this is an opportunity for that. So I think our role, is evolving. So to answer all those questions, like what are we doing and what is our role right now? Well, we're hoping that our role is gonna grow, you know, we're hoping that, you know, that we're respecting our Indigenous voices and that we're giving them speak, and we're hoping that, you know, that we'll be able to continue to grow and change with the town and with the community.
You know,
And I think that does address exactly what because I was trying to figure out all of this stuff over the last few meetings. I'm like, I don't understand because I didn't see the letter, right? But now it kind of like, it does identify. It's like, what was the TRC committee put in place for? What were some of, and again, as it develops, as new committees start, like they got to go through some of these things. So this question kind of like Brent said, like we start having some guidelines and just saying like, if people do send an email or a letter, there's a response. Like, and it's just comes to
Yeah.
committee. We're just,
So it's clear, right? And our
Yeah.
activities are aligned with its overall, or an overall vision, right? Because
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, activity in itself it's just. So I'm saying about the rock thing on its own, like, you know, you just do an activity and that on its own, it's just activity, it can be seen as meaningless type of thing, but no, it's part of this overall broader education plan that we want to do to educate and tell people, right? So, you know what I mean? They're showing that alignment there, so. The
So
community can see that.
going back to this letter, so we can either deal with it and
Yeah.
move forward, what's like the feeling here, because it's addressed to Mayor Lawrence, I don't feel comfortable as a committee like responding. Now, that doesn't mean in the work we do, we can't somehow,
address
know.
some of his concerns.
right? But like specifically to this, I think it's.
I wouldn't have a say. I would bow out.
Yeah.
Like self personally, I'd probably have to bow out because I didn't even know anything until we got here that this was even an issue. So it's like almost 3 years ago.
What if we sent him an invitation to come and speak to the project that he was working on? Or his initiative to see where he was on it and say, come and meet the new committee and see what we're doing now.
Yeah, but I'm very, if you invite somebody to something and you're not prepared to engage and help with the work, like with an invitation means that we're committing, we are committing to the process of helping the work. So,
I thought the question though was if he had moved on the project, if he had done more work, because nobody knew where he was on it.
Mhm.
But that's what we were
but if
asking.
we're not prepared, that what if he says to us, this is where I'm at and now I want, you know, these, because it really is going to change names in a municipality requires the municipality's participation. So we as a committee, do we have the authority to participate in
Way out
it?
of our
Yes, this is-
Changing things.
Reclaiming, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this always look at the map that it shows some of the original.
Right.
Oh, we don't know much more.
Like the lost.
Yes.
Yes, so that's really the moment. So I think just hearing what. Say.
I do agree with that. I think if we just hear him out and then if there's like areas that we can address or we can't, like, that's the whole point of conversation. It's just
I would just
hearing.
frame it as the information gathering.
Yeah.
He did come here at one time and he did we did have a discussion with him on it. And I can see his point of view on here. Because sitting on that prior committee, we did lots of talking. We did not, in my point of view, we did not accomplish much. Everything was deferred.
Yeah.
And
If you're not meeting quorum.
I almost quit this committee. I really did, just because of that. It just, I did tons and tons of work to be cast out the window. And I agree with Tom Terry, like, what the hell, what am I doing here sitting on this committee? You know, am I just meeting the municipalities' need to have a truth and reconciliation committee? Where are we going with this? And personally, I love this committee right now. I think we have a very, very good mixture of people on here. And I can see progress where I couldn't see it before. It's just things, it was a dog chasing its tail. And I apologize to anyone who takes offense to that, but that's how I feel.
And I think all municipality committees, it's learning to navigate how to function, because like the first step that we didn't realize is you can't do anything without a work plan. So if you don't have a work plan,
Yeah.
you can't do anything. They just kept saying to us, that has to go on the work plan. That has to go on the work
Yeah.
plan. And we're like, we don't understand. And then the other thing that we didn't understand either is the working committees. We as a committee don't have the power to call each other and just work. You have to set up a working committee. So now that we've learned those little tricks, that we get our work plan done early and we work with the working committees, that we should be able to accomplish things. And hopefully we
Yeah.
can, like now that we understand the workings of the organization.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it's a learning piece.
Not wanting to back the prior committee, they started up a work committee. It didn't even get off the ground. They didn't even meet. And in my opinion, I was the work committee.
Yeah.
I'm the only guy that I feel that towards two big projects that I did the only work. And to have them both deferred personally pisses me off. Big
Yeah.
time. I think if anything, if we say anything to Tom Terry, I think that we should invite him to sit on this committee. He's got all these good ideas. Well, let's hear it.
So as a committee, we're open to learning. We're not gonna discuss the letter, but we're open to learning about his project,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because really, like, most of us weren't here at the time.
Yeah.
And it's really, there's no purpose of basketball. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, so just, you were on the committee at the time, right?
Yes.
So one person was on the committee, so basically it's an entire, well, you were on the committee too. 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Two of you.
you're.
Yeah. So, definitely to come and share information.
Yeah, another thing too, sorry, this is kind of off topic, now we're talking about this.
Yeah.
For the signs coming up, we should get a photo with the new signs, once they're installed.
Oh,
yeah.
Because I think once people see us on the boat, like, oh, the TRC is actually a thing now.
Yeah.
Like, not, well, I shouldn't say that, I'm not terms.
No, but Darlene did want that.
Yeah,
That was the first thing.
oh my god.
That was the first thing that
Yeah.
Darlene wanted to do
So
last year.
maybe
was
once
to
it
say,
gets
"We're back,
installed,
we're
maybe
back."
let's
Yes.
schedule let's be here at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Some pictures.
Yeah, watch her hair that day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you want to reach out to her about having to see about the students who deserve it?
What, sorry?
Did you want to reach out to Nicole and see if maybe the students who designed?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sure, yeah.
Because they'll be back in school, right?
Yeah, I mean, they were in grade 12, so they're probably,
They were grade
Oh.
12s and they might not fall.
Around working
Yes,
still.
yeah,
We'll find out.
yeah,
Um,
hold them up.
Right on.
Yeah, it would be, yeah, get a photo with the new signs, yeah.
Okay, so for an action item, then who's going to, from the committee, talk to Tom?
Do you do that as the separate or do you?
I almost think it should be a committee member as opposed to Megan.
Okay.
And only because we're a brand new committee. We're almost like removing, because like the letter is.
Yeah.
We just want to know an update about his project, right? That's just,
Well, I don't know him, but I.
Thank you. I think that's good, thanks.
so.
And plus you were one of the original people, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might need info.
Yeah.
What is that, 12:40?
So- Yeah, I'm just
Oh.
kidding.
Motion to adjourn. No, that was the